Happy Halloween, everybody. So I am hoping that this is airing. I tried to play the introduction and it was just locking up on my end. And so I'm actually going to go look over at the comment side here real quick and let me know if this is coming through and I'm not like totally glitching up. But again, happy Halloween. I'm just so glad that this show actually fell on Halloween versus like some other day where it's just not the same. Marco, you like my costume? But it's just not the same to talk about like Halloween and tell ghost stories when it's not Halloween. So it's like, it's perfect. It's perfect. So today I'm going to tell some spooky ghost stories, and I think I did a show telling ghost stories, but I have a lot of ghost stories. But I'm going to preface this with this. So if you're a regular on the show, I don't talk to dead people because I don't want dead people coming to my house because they scare the crap out of me. Now, that doesn't mean I won't do ghost hunting, and that doesn't mean that I won't like go look at that ghost in your house. I just don't want them around me and making noise and moving stuff and scaring the crap out of me. And I really do come by it naturally. So growing up, and actually let me move my people. Growing up, I lived in a house that was built in 1898, and there was the dead guy that lived in the basement. And all of my brothers and sisters knew about the dead guy, and no one ever wanted to go in the basement except for my mom, who, even though I think she was pretty psychic, it's like she obviously like communed with the freaking dead guy because she would go to where he was and it didn't ever freak her out. But I hated it. It was, his energy was palpable. And I had talked so there was a delicatessen around the corner, Hub Delicatessen. And I was talking to the owner, Mr. Gruberg, and he said that someone had been killed in the house. And I have to tell you, if someone was killed in the house, it was down in the basement by the cold room, because that's where the dead guy was. All right, so I already was like totally spooked out with ghosts at that point in time. But then when I went to college, I went to school in Oswego, New York, Oswego State, where it had the record snowfall. It has the record snowfall year after year. 13 feet of snow was not abnormal. And so having a house that was on the bus route, not far from downtown, because nobody drove. I didn't have a car, but nobody drove, was ideal. And the house that I lived in was on 5th and Bridge. Downtown was like 1st and 2nd Street. And Bridge was the main thoroughfare. So the bus literally stopped right in front of my house, which was great. Utilities were included. I had roommates, but I was in college, so that was expected. The rent was good. Move into the house and go out to like drink some beer. And I find out from a townie, somebody that grew up in the town, that the house had been the old funeral parlor. If you could probably see my face turn white at that point in time, it probably did. And that house was freaking spooky as hell. And there was the spooky part, but there was a ghost that would like to, I'm going to say open the door, but he didn't open the door, but you would hear a sound that sounded like somebody had opened the front door and it made the door to our unit kind of creak. And then you would hear this coming up the stairs. And I would just like turn the stereo up really loud because that freaked me out. And I was telling a friend of mine the story. And so like my room was a room of light, like don't come in here, it's light, God's here. But my roommate's room, which was across the hall, I lived there for a year, and I think I went into that room like 4 or 5 times because it had the worst energy on the planet. I don't know. Well, the first roommate I had that lived in that room stayed there for 1 semester and got out. And then the other one got there. But when she moved in and she had entities of her own, things got even weirder at the house. So again, I come by it naturally. But actually doing ghost hunting is to me a very different thing than living in a haunted house, because then you can like look at their weird stuff and then you can go home and know that you're safe. So what the stop it, ghost. Um, so I live near Jefferson, Texas, one of the top 10 haunted cities in America. And there's a place called House of the Seasons. And I was there with my ghost hunting group, Metroplex Paranormal Investigations. And we were being filmed for a movie that never came out that was called City of Spirits. And I was in it a lot. Anyway, and so whenever I would go to these things and we would be staying overnight, they're like, here, we're going to put you in the haunted room. No, don't do it. Or at the House of the Seasons, they put me in the haunted bed. And I'm like, oh, great, the freaking haunted bed. And so I was there with a friend of mine and we were staying in the house and she was going to stay in another room. I'm like, hey, if you want me to sleep in that bed, then you need to come sleep in this room with me because I am not sleeping in this room by myself. Because it got ghosts. And, and we didn't really notice anything weird at night. There wasn't any activity. There wasn't any noises or bumps or it just seemed pretty tranquil. But when I was laying in the bed, it was just really weird. My legs just felt very stiff, and I would look down at them, and I thought, like, I got this image of having like braces on my leg, like Forrest Gump kind of braces on my legs. And so you think, okay, this is totally my imagination, because why would I have like braces on my leg? I didn't even know where that was coming from. And so the owner was like, okay, what'd you get? Did you get anything good? And so I'm like really kind of scrambling for something to say. And I told her about, the impression of having these braces on my legs. And she kind of freaked out because the owner of the house, the guy who built the house, I guess, had polio or something like that, and actually literally wore braces on his legs. So let's see. I mean, a lot of this, I say that they're spooky, but they're really not that spooky. We did an investigation at a place called the Sons of Hermit Hall in Dallas. And actually, we were being filmed, or the same group was being filmed for, it was Halloween. Like the news people wanted to do a Halloween thing. So they interviewed our group. And we got to go to the Sons of Hermit Hall, and they let us get there early so we could do an investigation. And I'm just walking around doing the Rita thing. Oh, wait. Anyway, so there was a stage there, and I mean, there was energy. Like they used to do like high school dances there or something. I mean, there were a lot of like young people energy with like bobby socks and stuff like that. Anyway, but I went up on the stage and I looked out. And as I looked out, I saw this semicircle of like light. Like there must have been like 8 different pinpoints of light that kind of made me think that they were people like standing in a semicircle. Which was kind of weird. I mean, I wasn't really getting a lot of clarity other than that there was something there, and they were all facing kind of toward the center, and there was this other person in the center, and they were like sending this person energy, and when you do this work, you can't quite tell, like, is it your imagination or what's going on. But the 2 of the other people that I was with, one had an EMF meter and the other one had a non-contact thermometer. And so they're going around. I mean, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just on the stage kind of watching all this. And they get to this circle, and the one with the thermometer was like, my thermometer just lost a bunch of temperature. And as the thermometer is losing temperature, the EMF meter is going up. And they're like, okay, that's weird. And they move further along and it goes back to normal. And they get close to the next body and the thermometer goes down and the EMF meter goes up. And they literally followed around this circle to all the people that I was watching from the stage and actually got measurements. And it wasn't until they were done that I actually shared that with them. Let's see. I have like a whole giant list of stuff that I can talk about. Anyway, so, one of the things that people often think, here's a little educational piece. One of the things that people often think is that, when you die, either you're an earthbound spirit, meaning that you're kind of stuck here, or that you go to heaven and you're stuck there. But the reality is yes, there are earthbound spirits, people who have chosen not to make their transition. But a lot of the times, the ghosts that you encounter are people that have died. They've made their transition. They've gone to heaven, wherever you go on the other side. And then they come back and visit. And so I was moving into a brand new house, and it was my, at the time, husband's first new home. And we only lived like 2 blocks away, so it was a very slow move in. And emptying dishes out of these boxes, because we would just like take some boxes, empty the boxes, and then take the boxes back. And I'm emptying boxes and putting stuff into the kitchen cabinets, and the dining room table was already there. And I asked him, I said, so if your dad was in the house, would he be sitting at the kitchen table, drinking a cup of coffee, smoking a cigarette? Now, mind you, I'd never met the man, so I didn't know, but it felt like family to me, like his family. And he goes, oh no, they're ranching people. He would always be out working on the ranch. I'm like, okay. But if he was in the house, would he be sitting at the kitchen table, drinking a cup of coffee, smoking a cigarette? And he goes, yeah, that's what he would be doing. And so, of course, I have to be a pain. It's like, he's here. And that was just like really cool. But I've gone to investigations where people, are noticing some energy, or like a rocking chair is moving or something is going on. And it's like, it's the grandmother, so the new parent's grandmother that has come back to see the new baby. And so it is actually very normal and not something to be afraid of. I was speaking at this one conference, and this one woman kept saying that her brother kept visiting her, and she was told that it was demonic and that she should like have it exorcised and all this stuff, but that's really not the case. If you have somebody showing up that, especially if it's somebody or a family member, they just might be visiting. And in her case, it was her twin brother, and he just was keeping tabs on her, and he kind of transitioned, but he was really kind of waiting for her. So that was kind of cool. And I'm looking at the clock. Okay, so this is one of my favorite stories, ghosty type stories, and I will end the stories with this. So I went on an investigation, and actually our team was called because this woman's daughter was writing these like symbol looking things on the wall in the bathroom in marker. And she wanted to know if we could come and look at them and give our opinion. And, the general consensus was, well, but there's not, that's not really like a haunted thing per se. But the woman lived 2 miles from me, and it wasn't like we had to get in our car and drive for an hour to go get somewhere. And it's a non thing. So we get there and the woman takes us into the bathroom and there are these symbols, and it did look like there was the possibility that it was some kind of an alphabet, but not anything that I recognized, or, who knows. But it did look kind of alphabetical. But also in the bathroom, on the vanity countertop, but in front of the sink, were a pair of eyes that were also drawn in with Sharpie. And I'm in the room and the eyes are kind of following me around. And now I'm seeing the eyes follow me around. And so I like go over to a different spot, but the eyes are still following me. So now I know the eyes are still following me. And so I kind of checked into that. And I just kept getting this impression of a pirate. A freaking pirate. I mean, the stuff that comes through, you think I do stuff for you, and it's always weird on my end because you never know what's going on. Anyway, so there's the pirate. And the little girl comes to the bathroom door, and I just looked at her and I said, "So who's that?" And she goes, "A pirate." And I'm like, okay, so I guess it's a pirate. And then I asked her something else, and she kind of went off into a kid imagination place. And so I just discounted what she had to say after that. But I did get my answer. It was a pirate. So I'm done in the bathroom. We're kind of done. The other people weren't picking up anything that they would normally check. And, so we go to talk to the homeowner. And I suggested to her that, because the woman was pagan and she was part of a very big and strong pagan community in the Dallas area. And I suggested that she work with them and do something with the daughter. The daughter was very powerful. The daughter was bringing through spirits like the pirate in the freaking bathroom. And because the daughter's energy just, I don't know, there was kind of a darkness to it, and it was a little scary to me. And so she goes, "Okay, but what about the doll?" Well, it's in that first bedroom. All right, hang on. Let me see that stupid thing that just keeps going off. Go away. Thank you. Okay. She goes, "It's in the first bedroom in the bookcase." So I go in the bedroom and I look at the bookcase, and sitting on a shelf is this doll. And I look at the doll, and all I hear is, "I've got a secret. I've got a secret." That was all I needed. I was out of that room. And I go back into the living room, and I think she was a little surprised that I got there back so fast. And she goes, "So what do you think about the doll?" And I just looked at her and went, "I've got a secret. I've got a secret." And her eyes got that big. And she goes, "My daughter says that to me, and then she'll do things like take a fork and stab me in the leg." Anyway, I will never forget the sound of that doll talking to me. Anyway. All right. So there's a lot of comments that I'm going to read through. But before I do that, if you would like to schedule a consultation with me or want to check out my work, please go to my website, soulhealer.com. That's soulhealer.com. You can get a copy of my book, Dark Angels, An Insider's Guide to Ghost Spirits and Attached Entities. It has even more ghost stories and some very practical information about ghost spirits and attached entities. It's on my website, and it's also on like Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can get it in a Kindle format and an EPUB, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you want it autographed, go to my webpage because they all come autographed. If you are watching the show in a rerun, but you want to join the fun, the easiest place to do that is by going to YouTube, by going to Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's Just Energy Radio on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central every Thursday night, and click on the live button, and it'll open up a chat window so you can join the fun. Okay, so I did fix this. Our antistay. There we go. I did fix this. So, I do this thing every week. People get lots of really great information. And so if you want to leave me a little something, something, I fixed it. So you can go to soulhealer.com/live. And there is a link where you can go to PayPal that will also accept Venmo directly and not go through my site. Or you can use all the little graphics that'll take you to the shopping cart where you can use a credit card. So PayPal or whatever, but they're both on the soulhealer.com live website. And then also, please follow me on social media. So I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, BitChute, and Twitter. I'm much more active on Twitter than I used to be before. But if you could like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, all of that good stuff, I would really appreciate it. I'd really appreciate it. Okay. All right. So I am going to change screens and go say hi to people and do my regular